Segment 2 of the Chris Richman Show is on. Back for Wednesday, May 14th, 2025. All right, let's get right to it, guys. We've got a lot to do, so I'm going to have to talk fast. You're going to need to listen fast, just warning you in advance. I hope y'all are liking the new layout for the studio here. It's funny when I look at it in the camera here. I've got the grid thing set up, right? And it looks like this panel over here, the one on my right, it looks like it's a whole separate thing. It's just optical illusion, but kind of funny. Anyway, I want to start out with the greatest of all time, the Maha. That would be Rush, for those of you playing the home game. Gunther Eagleman posted a quote from Rush, and it is, of course, incredibly relevant to today's stuff. It's funny. Rush has a way, if you go back and you listen to his old shows, back from, 10, 15, 20 years ago, they have a way of being relevant even now. And that's crazy, but ultimately true. I'm listening to, like I said the other day, I'm listening to shows from the 2008 from 2008, the run up into the 2008 election. Obama hadn't gotten the Democrat nomination yet. McCain, not that there's much difference between the two. McCain hadn't gotten the Republican one yet. And it's funny, a lot of the stuff that was being discussed then is still 100% relevant now. 100% relevant. Like, you could take it and put it into today. I could play it here on this show, and it would be, you just take the names out, and it would be 100% as relevant as it is, or as it was then. Guaranteed. That's how relevant it is, and how relevant it was then. We are running into the same problems, but this one's from probably like 2017 or so. It said, Washington can't afford for Trump to succeed. The gig is up. If an outsider like Trump can fix messes that they've promised but failed to take care of for the past 30 years, then we the people will never vote establishment again. And that's why they're against him. 100% true. Absolutely. And again, not only Trump, but even in general, if we can look at what's going on with Bobby Kennedy. They were trying to savage Bobby Kennedy today. That's in the stack of stuff here. They tried to grill him on some health and human services stuff. And again, it's stuff that should have been taken care of years ago, but it wasn't there. Oh, I almost forgot. There we go. Now we're on air. But not just Trump himself, but his staff, his cabinet, they're making a difference. So this latest thing that kind of prompted this is more of the Trump's doing what other people have talked about for years, but weren't able to do. In this case, he's trying to convince Syria, okay? One of the most militantly terroristic countries in the world. He's this close to getting Syria to sign the Abraham Accords. Yeah. He is, he just negotiated a deal with Qatar that basically is going to save Boeing's bacon. It's a huge deal. Let me see if I can find it. Oh gosh, where was that? Let me see if I can search it. Hold on, guys. If you're looking at the screen, you'll see what I'm doing here. Boeing. Let's see here. Okay, Qatar just signed a purchase agreement for 160 Boeing planes, the largest order in its history. Charlie Kirk reposted something from Rapid Response 47 on that. 160 planes. Well, it says 150 down below in Nick Sorter's thing. But the point is this is huge. This is President Trump saying, y'all need to get better at this. I mean, I'm a politician. I honest to God, if I were him, I would walk up to, when I got back, I wouldn't fly straight back to DC. I would fly to Seattle, or, well, let's see. They're based in Chicago now? St. Louis? Anyway, wherever Boeing is based, I would say, hey, I'm going to fly into the airport here. You and I need to have a talking to the CEO of Boeing. And I would say, hey, look, how is it that I'm a businessman just like you, but I've been a politician for quite some years now, quite a few years. And how is it that I am able to go over and do this better than you guys can? Because supposedly, you get rusty at this stuff. So I just made you guys a boatload of money. So here's the thing. Y'all better deliver us a 747, a damn good one, to use as Air Force One or something equivalent to it. Okay? And y'all better deliver my F-47 on time, under budget, and beating every single performance goal that's set. That's what y'all better do. That's my expectation. So, there you go. I mean, this stuff it's amazing to me. The Trump, he doesn't, like he said during his first term, I don't know how to lose. I don't lose. I love it. I mean, I just love that. That is fantastic. It's great. I'm glad he's there. Now, I want to hit real quick. Let me get to this Bobby Kennedy story here real fast. So this is from Wall Street Journal, and write this down real quick. I kind of deviated from the plan I had. Sorry. Anywho, so 5 takeaways from RFK Jr.'s grilling on Capitol Hill. Health Secretary faces intense questioning over cuts to his agenda, or his agency rather, vaccines and more. Okay, so here's the takeaways that the Wall Street Journal thinks are what you should know. And just a second here, get that up. There we go. Perfect. Now it's adjusted right. Sorry, the camera bent down just a little bit for some reason. Got me. Anywho, lawmakers grilled Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in 2 hearings Wednesday over his cuts of 20,000 employees to his departments, vaccines, and measles. Protesters interrupted one hearing. Now, protesters, it was one. And guess what? The protester that cried, RFK kills people with AIDS, wasn't RFK. That was Anthony Fauci you were thinking of. Anthony Fauci and it wasn't AIDS. It was kills people with AIDS with AZT. That's, you meant to say, and by the way, the person who did this, are you ready for this? The head of Ben and Jerry's. Yeah, that guy. The ultra liberal that runs that. Anyway. So, yeah, RFK kills people with AIDS. Okay, so Kennedy defends Medicaid HHS cuts. In a tense exchange with, Kennedy told lawmakers that he would, quote, shift funding from bureaucracy to direct impact, unquote, arguing that a bloated system was harming public health. 100% true. 100% true. The cuts that he's making are fat. Make America healthy again doesn't just mean, hey, eat more good foods. It means get rid of the fat in government. That's going to make government healthier, which is going to make the American people healthier, because then the government can do actually what's right. I know that never happens. Hope springs eternal, right? Okay. In a tense exchange with Representative Rosa DeLauro. Now, for those of you who don't remember what Rosa DeLauro looks like, let me remind you, because, and if you're watching, you'll see this. If not, well, sorry. That's Rosa DeLauro right there. The gigantic purple hair, rather, the weird dress that she wears, or clothing rather that she wears, not a dress. This one looks like it's a suit coat that's got thrown in with a bunch of weird tanning stripes, and she didn't dry it or iron it, apparently. It looks like a rain jacket almost. That's her official portrait. by the way. This one you're seeing on the screen here. And again, she's got the red or the purple streaks in her hair. This gal needs to go to University of Washington, the Huskies. I mean, she'd fit right in. She's got purple dyed hair. There you go. Anyway, this dipstick, eccentric fashion and cropped bob hairstyle, which features standout colors. You don't say. Anyway, let me go back to the X feed there so I don't have to throw up. Anyway, in a tense exchange with Representative Rosa DeLauro, Kennedy dodged questions about National Institute of Health grants that had been cut under President Trump's second term and other funding that hadn't been spent. Let's get that money back, DeLauro said. Unbelievable. Get that money back. You mean get the money that we're saving from not having to spend it back to the Congress so it can be reallocated? What are you talking there? I don't understand what she's getting at, I guess. Unbelievable. What? That somebody actually wants the government, the office that they're responsible for, to perform properly? That's what's unbelievable to you? Huh. Kennedy also justified proposed future cuts to the NIH by saying the research agency was plagued by, quote, corruption, unquote, and is the reason no cure for Alzheimer's disease has been found. When I was a kid, NIH was the premier gold standard scientific institution in the world. Over the years, it was captured by industry. He said, it wasn't just Democrats. Okay, so this is the thing. It wasn't just Democrats. Republicans expressed concern over cuts to programs to help coal miners affected by black lung disease and help low-income people afford heating bills. Kennedy told lawmakers that congressionally mandated programs would continue despite being moved to different divisions or despite losing their staff, and that he had reinstated some occupational health employees. Now, I want to stop right there. It wasn't just Democrats. Okay, then they talk about Republicans, but they don't name anybody. They don't take any sound bites, so to speak, out of there. That's a little weird, don't you think? The secretary insisted the Republicans' plan to lower Medicaid spending is to remove waste and fraud from the system, not take coverage away from the vulnerable, which is 100% true, by the way. Medicaid is one of the most wasteful programs in the entire federal government. That and Social Security. Let's put it that way. We, the American taxpayers, are defrauded insane amounts of money by this. Sorry about the video going in the background there, guys. If you're watching, I just paused it. I mean, Jasmine Crockett running her mouth we'll get to that in a minute, but anyway. Okay, so not take coverage away from the vulnerable. Now, this is the part where Bobby Kennedy is way more patient and understanding than I would be. I don't know, quote, I don't know if you understand this or if you're just mouthing the Democrat talking points, he told Representative Josh Harder, Democrat of California. Several members of the audience responded, whoa. So my response to that would have been, let's see, hold on, just one second here, guys. Bear with me. Let's go back to this. And Josh Harder. Let's see what Josh Harder has done with his life. And if I could type, it would really help. Josh Harder, American politician. Oh, born in 1986. He's a millennial. How interesting. This little turd is from California. No surprise there. John Keck Harder. Keck, what the? Okay, anyway. American politician and venture capitalist investor. Let's see here. Let's see. In 2014, so he was born in 86 in Turlock. He attended Modesto High School, interned for then State Senator Jeff Denham, went to Stanford, earning a BA in 2008, obtained an MBA rather, and a Master of Public Policy from Harvard Business School and the Kennedy School of Government. Bessemer, in 2014, Bessemer Venture Partners hired Harder in its New York office. He moved to San Francisco 2 years later and became a vice president of the company. Really? In 2017, so 3 years in, left Bessemer to campaign full-time. He moved back to Turlock and taught business at Modesto Junior College. Huh, that's interesting. Let's see here. So he's done nothing. He's done nothing. He got an MBA, and got hired by an investment company. So he has no understanding of public health that I'm seeing here. I don't see anything in here. Nothing. Not a thing. So my response, knowing that, because that's one thing I would have done had I been Kennedy or anybody else. If I was going to go testify in front of a committee, I would look at what the senators, or, in this case, House members? Yeah, the House members, what their specialties are. Okay. What their background is. That way I could speak to them. For example, if someone was a businessman, I'd be like, hi, okay, great. Congressman, you're a businessman like me. So you need to, I'm sure you understand the need to control payroll through, as your most controllable expense, right? You understand that, correct? I'm not misinterpreting you there. Okay, good. In this case, I would have said in no uncertain terms, Senator, or Congressman, with all due respect, I'm not sure you grasp the situation here. I'm the head of this department. I have an intimate knowledge of what works and what doesn't here. And in addition to this, for years before I took this position, I have been monitoring this particular agency. I have seen what incompetence they can have. So with all due respect, I think I have a better understanding of this than you do. Not saying your question isn't valid, far from it. You have the right to that. You have the oversight ability, which is fine. I have zero problem with that. I have zero problem coming up here and answering questions. But in, putting forward that I don't know what I'm talking about on this is a little bit disingenuous, considering that's not even the pot calling the kettle black. That is someone who's not even in the kitchen, not even in the house for that matter, saying, hey, you're overcooking that. Whatever it is, right? It's an absurd thing to say. Absolutely insane. Like I said, Kennedy is way more patient than me, than I would be, rather. Let's see here. Said he wavered on the... Okay. So, Kennedy, now this one I'm a little bit... I kind of not laughed, but I thought this was a little bit funny. Kennedy hesitated when asked whether he would vaccinate his child today with the MMR vaccine, saying he probably would. My opinions on vaccines are irrelevant, he said. I don't think people should be taking medical advice from me. Now, here's the thing about that. My question, now this is somewhere where if I were a Democrat, I would say, really? And yet you have gone for years and years and years with your private company expounding and speaking about in many ways, shapes and forms about how vaccines are a problem and they shouldn't be there. So you ask people to trust you on that. And now you're the head of the Health and Human Services, okay? Health and Human Services Department of the government. People are going to be looking at you for guidance, whether you like it or not. I would take him maybe a little to task on that. Okay, anyway. Let's see here. Bipartisan agreement. That's there again. Okay, this one also annoys me. And this is something where the Republicans have got to get, this was a dumb thing to say. And I'm kind of surprised it wasn't pounced on by the Democrats. I would have had I been a Democrat. White House and some agency officials have pushed back on Kennedy's desire to go after commonly used pesticides in a coming report. Representative Andy Harris, Republican Maryland, told Kennedy that going after pesticides could hurt farmers. Kennedy said he shared that concern and that the government cannot be putting farmers out of business. All right, here's my thing. If I were a Democrat, my thing would have been this, especially if I was a centrist Democrat or someone in a more red area. My thing would have been this, Mr. Kennedy, or Secretary Kennedy, here would be my question for you then. And actually, I would have even asked this as a Republican. What's more important, the health of the American people or the profit margin of the chemical companies? Now, of course, he would have said the health of the American people. Okay, so Going after these pesticides doesn't mean you're going after farmers. If there is a problem with, say, glyphosate, okay, which is a very effective weed killer, okay, used it for years. Generally, I like it. But if there is something where we are not being told there's a problem, like with glyphosate, there's a lot of it going around. There's a lot of stuff going around saying that glyphosate causes cancer. And if that's the case and we were not told, well, then that becomes an issue. Because that is the government or the Monsanto, okay, which a lot of people don't like Monsanto anyway. Sorry, guys. A lot of people don't like Monsanto anyway. But if Monsanto lied to people and knew that glyphosate causes cancer and marketed it as, no, there's no side effects to humans whatsoever, they need to be held accountable. And they need to retest a formulation of glyphosate that will not cause cancer, or that reduces or eliminates the problematic pieces of it. Okay? Pesticide companies make a lot of money, just so you know. Dow, Monsanto, all these guys, they make a pile of money. Okay? Now, I don't blame them for that, but if they're hiding something, if they're cheating, if they are, if they're doing things that are underhanded, then yeah, they need to be held to account. So that's my problem with that right there is, hey, guys, here's the thing. If this is something where these companies, if we're not going to go after this pesticide because we're worried that the pesticide companies might not be able to produce the pesticide anymore, Roundup's not the only thing out there. Glyphosate isn't the only thing out there. There are other killers. There are other weed killers out there. And at the end of the day, guess what? Humanity went without weed killers for a long time. Now, I say that understanding that, not having weed killer is going to increase costs because you're going to have to spend more time in the field pruning weeds. Something stuck in my mouth there. Getting rid of weeds than you would otherwise. I understand that. I do. But again, health of people or dollars? Which one is it? So that would be my thought. All right. So that was Bobby Kennedy. And like I said, he's a lot more patient than I would have been in that situation. A ton more patient. All right. Let's go to, we talked about Trump in the Middle East. Like I said, he is on a roll. The president is. No question about it. He is GSD times about 100 right now. Good stuff. Water. All right. Unfortunately, now we have to go on to the horribleness that is Jasmine Crockett. In fact, we're going to go ahead and make her
political whore of the week.
Maybe not the week, but definitely the day. She definitely qualifies for
stupid libs.
Yeah, that's Jasmine for you. This was from NRCC, and retweeted by Defiant Els. Let's go ahead and listen to this and have some fun with it, shall we?
And so the thing is this. Anybody that did their research voted the right way.
Okay, so anybody that did their research. So we got Ghetto Jasmine here. Okay, Ghetto Jasmine is in the house. Now, this was apparently an interview done on something called Urban View on Sirius XM.
The people that had the information, they voted the right way. These are facts. The more educated voters and the voters that went to the legacy media, frankly, they voted the right way.
Okay, so had the facts. Here's the problem, though. The legacy media, which Jasmine's talking about, oftentimes they ignore the facts, or they will present a fact, which is actually a half-truth. And what's the right way? Something that supports you and the Democrat Party? Oh, got it. Okay. Here's the thing, Jasmine. A lot of people out there that you are... So, again, this is kind of a... Let's finish listening to it.
It's the ones that were getting the fake news or the lies. They were the ones that were voting the wrong way.
Okay, so I actually agree with her on this. The people who got the facts voted. And they voted the right way. They voted for President Trump. The ones who listen to the fake news, now that's not the legacy media, by the way, the ones that get the facts. They're the ones that listen to the alternative media. The fake news is the legacy media. So she got that part a little confused, but I fixed it for her. As for the rest of it, Jasmine, yeah, the people who listen to fake news, they tend to vote the, quote, wrong way. And yeah, that would be people like you. Now, again, the question has to become, I would ask the people in Jasmine's district, did you vote for Jasmine Crockett, who has, I think, a JD, who is a well-spoken lawyer? Or did you vote for Ghetto Jasmine? I have to wonder, because I'm wondering which one you actually got. The one you got is definitely not, I'm guessing, the one you voted for, most people. It's just interesting. So that's Jasmine. La-di-da, hoobie-hoo. All right. All right. I can't really not talk about this because it's a huge part of my my feed here. Let's talk about the Hearing Protection Act, the Short Act, the NFA, and concealed carry permits. So a lot of 2A stuff, basically. Yeah. And I have got a lot on this. This will probably take up a goodly chunk of the rest of the segment, to be honest with you. So for those of you who haven't been following this, there is a bill that's going to be attached to the tax bill. The Republicans have a very, very good chance, a very, very good shot of getting rid of the NFA entirely, getting rid of it completely, 100% gone, or at least taking suppressors off of the NFA, which to me, that's the low-hanging fruit, suppressors. The other part, of course, would be pistol braces, okay, short barrel rifles, that kind of thing. Talked a little bit about that in the last segment. This is going through, and unfortunately, the Republicans, as they are wont to do, have, it seems, snatched defeat from the jaws of victory to a degree. The goal that most people wanted, that most conservatives wanted, was to completely get suppressors off of the NFA, 100%. And honestly, short barrel rifles and short barrel shotguns. Get those off of there. Now, to me, just destroy the NFA entirely. And the Hughes Amendment while we're at it, because you want to see an industry explode. I mean, completely explode. Get rid of the Hughes Amendment. Now, we'll come back to that in here in a bit. That's actually a pretty good topic that I want to talk about at some point in the near future here, because the Hughes Amendment, let me put it this way. It's not just civilians that would benefit from that. The military would benefit enormously. But like I said, we'll come back to that. So that was the goal. That was what the Gun Owners of America, the NRA, Firearm Policy Coalition, Second Amendment Foundation, ad infinitum, any 2A group wanted. They wanted the suppressors and SBRs, SBSs off of the NFA. So here's the thing. It came out, probably 2 days ago, that I don't know how it leaked out, but that the the Republicans were tossing us under the bus, us meaning the 2A group, the 2A army, as it were. And that they were going to go for moving the $200 tax down to the AOW tier. They were going to put suppressors in the AOW tier, which is a $5 tax. And at that point, it kind of, let me put it this way, things got really, really quick, really, really heated, really, really quick, because guess what? That's not the important part. The tax is irrelevant, frankly. I'm not irrelevant, but it's certainly not the controlling factor. Most of us, if it was said, hey, you can buy these, you can buy suppressors, you can go into your, local gun store, your LGS, as the acronym goes, and you can buy a suppressor without any kind of additional background check. No registration, no week-long wait. Although it used to be I think one of the suppressors, the longest I had was 13 months. Not joking. That was for my my Nomad. But whether it's a week or a month or a year plus, that's the thing that bothers us. And the fact that it has to be registered, which means if you have an NFA item, SBS, SBR, suppressor, machine gun in states you can own them in pre-May 19th, 86, or a destructive device, an AOW, whatever. Okay. If you have that, if you change states, if you go and you want to sell that item, it's not just hey, what do you want for it? I don't know, $1,000. Okay, great. Here you go. Awesome. Have a great day. It's not that. Most people would probably take a picture of the driver's license, some identifying thing, just in case. You have to go through and you have to submit a Form 4. You have to, it's a process. Let's put it that way. And then again, wait for ATF to approve the transfer. And you have to, the person who's buying has to pay a transfer tax, the $200 transfer tax. So now that has to happen. It's a big to-do, a huge to-do. So that's the problem. It's not the $200. That literally is the least important part. So now they've said, oh, well, we'll get it down to zero. Let me go up here towards the top a little bit here. Where is it? Oh gosh. Come on. I just saw it. Oh, for Pete's sakes. Come on. Anyway, the point is they were crowing. The Republicans were crowing that the Ways and Means Committee passed a $0 NFA tax on suppressors. And the 2A community said, yeah, great. That's not what we asked you to do. That's not what we told you to do. Why aren't you listening? So one of the people that caved on this is David Kustoff, who's a representative, a Republican. And he tweeted out, this was 2 days ago, I am committed to the fight for full removal of suppressors from the NFA, as well as other long overdue reforms to unconstitutional restrictions on law-abiding gun owners. And the official act he put out, he's from Tennessee's 8th District, by the way, I am a pro-gun Republican at my core. I have an A+ rating with the National Shooting Sports Foundation and an A rating from the NRA. At every turn, I'm going to fight for the Second Amendment rights of gun owners across America. During this legislative battle, there are Second Amendment reforms to be made regarding suppressors. Unfortunately, rules of the United States Senate cause serious obstacles for repealing suppressors from the NFA. Okay, so here comes the excuses. Given the risk of the Senate failing to expand gun rights, I proposed policy that would eliminate the tax on suppressors, taking it from $200 to zero. This would be more than $1.5 billion in tax savings for gun owners over the next 10 years. I am committed to the fight for full repeal under the NFA, as well as other long overdue reforms to unconstitutional restrictions on law-abiding gun owners. Okay, so here's the problem with Republicans today, especially ones that have been there for a long time. They think as long as they dangle the words tax cut and what's the other one? Tax cut and small government over your head, you'll vote for whatever the hell they want. And you will just sit there and go, you're so great. Thank you so much. How can I only vote one time? That's too bad because I would vote 1,000 times for you if I could. You're so awesome. They don't realize, again, it's not about tax cuts. It's about control. This whole thing is not about a $200 tax. That's fine. Great. But the fact that you bring up the $1.5 billion in tax savings for gun owners over 10 years. So basically that's $150 million a year. Let's go back up to the top here for just a second. Okay. Let's see here. Where was this? Okay. This is the Brady campaign, right? The gun control group. Trump's one big beautiful bill eliminates a tax on gun silencers, costing the government $1.5 billion to line the pockets of gun industry execs. Put simply, Trump's allies in Congress are subsidizing the sale of devices that make shooting deadlier. Now, Costas Moros commented on this. How does eliminating a tax line the pockets of the gun industry? If you mean that the tax made suppressors too expensive for some people, so cutting it will lead to more sales, then you openly admit to embracing Jim Crow-style tactics to undermine the Second Amendment. Now, I would have taken it a different direction. First of all, it doesn't cost the government anything. Okay, we've talked about this as well. Cutting a tax or taxes doesn't cost the government anything. You don't pay for taxes. Cutting a tax means the government takes less money. They don't reach into your pocket and take your money. That's all. It doesn't cost the government anything. The money will remain with the people who are the rightful owners of it. Sorry, had to take a drink of water. That's what cutting this tax means. It's not costing the government anything. Now, again, as to lining the pockets of the gun industry, I agree. He must be talking about the increased sales that would happen because now people, instead of, let's say you want to buy 2 suppressors, okay? You want to buy a 9mm suppressor, or whatever, and then a 22 long rifle suppressor, a rimfire suppressor, essentially. Normally, 9mm suppressors are like $800, right? And a 5-point or a rimfire suppressor, you're looking at, 400, 300, somewhere in there. So if it means, and I'm looking at that and I'm going, I can't afford to do both. No, not with, so if it's $1,200 between the 2 suppressors, and then you add another $400 on top of that for the tax, that's $1,600. I can't afford that. But if they get rid of the tax and now I can buy both of those suppressors, yeah, you're going to have increased sales. But suppressors don't make shootings deadlier. They don't. Just because I screw a suppressor onto the end of my rifle doesn't make it any more deadly. It makes it quieter. No question about that. So now when I'm in my house, if some idiot breaks into my house, or idiots, and I see one down the hall, right? I've got, let's say, we'll go back to my old apartment from back in the day, right? You came in the door and you could walk down the hall into the living room. If you went right, there was a kitchen, or you could go left and go upstairs to the upstairs. So let's say I'm upstairs sleeping. The bedrooms are upstairs, of course. I'm upstairs sleeping and I hear, bam, the door get knocked in, right? I grab my home defense weapon, pistol, rifle, whatever. Okay. Even shotgun for that matter. And I come around the corner and I see someone at the end of the stairs. Okay. Downstairs. They charge at me. Bam. I dispatch them. Okay. Or at least hit them. Because, I say, hey, get out of my house. They come up, or the guy comes up the stairs. I see someone come up the stairs. I dispatch him. Okay. Now, if I'm shooting unsuppressed, I'm deaf. My ears are ringing like crazy. Especially, a pistol, you light off a pistol in an enclosed space, it's loud enough. You light off an AR or a shotgun, you're not hearing squat. Not squat. So I dispatched the one guy or gal, don't want to be sexist here. And as I'm going down the stairs thinking the threat's over, here comes the other one around the corner and pops me because I could not hear that person. Conversely, if I have a suppressor on, I come around the corner, again, pistol, rifle, shotgun, whatever it is, dispatch the first person. Hopefully I'm using subsonic rounds. I'm smart there, right? Dispatch that person. They go falling back down the stairs, and I can hear the other one getting ready. I get behind cover, and then when they come around the corner, maybe I pop them too. Or maybe they go running, hopefully. The point is that you have more situational awareness. Same thing if you're out hunting. You know, if you're out hunting in the forest and you take a shot at a deer, okay? If you're running unsuppressed, you're not going to hear very well, okay? And you may not take that deer cleanly with the first shot, or maybe you do and it's able to go a couple, 10, 15, 20 yards before it drops. The point is, if you can hear, you could hear the deer walking around or hear it breathing or something like that, and you'll be able to finish that animal off in a much more humane way instead of letting it suffer. Because that's the thing. Hunters don't like animal suffering. Hunters actually are some of the most, we're the ones that get the maddest about animal cruelty. Now, I know you're thinking, dude, you eat deer and elk and all this stuff. You literally shoot the animal, then cut it up. Yeah, we do. That's been done for tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of years. But at the same time, we want to, ideally, we take that shot, that animal will drop in its tracks, and we're done. That would be ideal. Unfortunately, it doesn't always happen that way, but that's our goal, is to have that happen. 100% our goal. Anyway. Okay, so again, stupid thing to say. Well, lining the pockets of the gun industry. The Brady campaign, dipwads. So anyway, replying to David Kustoff here, let's see here. So Kustoff, this time he's retweeting, or reposting rather, I guess it'd be retweeting, a tweet from Representative Tom Suozzi. This is absurd. Buried in the 400-page big, beautiful bill, he didn't say that, but that's what it is, dropped late Monday and debated in an all-nighter last night, is $1.4 billion cut in the fees to buy and register a silencer. This provision had been in place since 1934, and now they want to sneak this change in. Please watch to get in the details. Shocking. Let's hear what this sounds like.
I now recognize Mr. Suozzi for 5 minutes.
I want to speak in strong support of Mr. Thompson's amendment. Mr. Thompson, as was mentioned, is a Vietnam veteran. He's an avid gun collector. He won the best shot for the Democrats today in the Sportsman's Clay competition. I did not do as well as he did.
Whoa. Democrats were using guns. Do their constituents know about this? I'm dead serious. Nobody even says that. Democrats were using guns? What? I mean, that's... Wait. Dems are using guns? I mean, that's staggering. If a Democrat is using a gun, boy, I bet their constituents are going to be happy about this. That's crazy. I'm a little worried about that now. Honestly, that's wow. Okay. Now, so he posted this. Tom Suozzi did this. He was a liberal from New York, apparently. And of course, the comments on this are as stupid as you would expect them to be. Wow. Just when school shootings are on the rise, let's make it easier for future school shooters. How will eliminating an unconstitutional law, which, by the way, was passed under, how do I put this? Under false pretense? Shall we say that? And I'm sorry if you're watching this and you're looking at the screen here, I apologize for the horrible language that some of these people are using in their tweets. I don't understand it. Anyway, how is that going to make it easier? Republicans are shameful for this. Really? But I'm willing to bet Art Candy here that put that up, I'm willing to bet she is just fine with women getting their breasts cut off to pretend to be men and men getting their peepees cut off to pretend to be women. But that's not shameful at all. Yeah. Anyway, so Kustoff replies, yes, House GOP is eliminating the unconstitutional $200 excise tax on suppressors. We law-abiding Americans exercising their Second Amendment right, exactly, Second Amendment right, have been illegally subjected to burdensome regulation and fees since the NFA was passed in 1934. We are putting every option on the table to do in dismantling the NFA. Okay, great. Nice words, but they didn't. So Brandon Herrera, the AK guy, who is bloody awesome, responded, but why did you remove the part where suppressors were removed from the NFA entirely? This could have been a massive win for gun rights, and you let it die without a fight. Now, I'm sure he will reply, well, it wouldn't have gotten through the Senate because of the filibuster. Okay, so get the nuclear option. Get the nuclear option. Figure out a way to pass legislation that would make it illegal to filibuster this, even if temporarily. Now, I know you're saying, whoa, stop. The problem is that when the Democrats inevitably, at some point in the future, because it will happen at some point, get the House back, or the Senate back, rather, they'll use the same thing. Oh, okay. Well, get the problem fixed. I don't know. Get it through. I just don't understand why the Republicans are so eager to give in. They are so eager to give in. Now, Dave Markowitz actually had a really good point here. So if the tax is reduced from $200 to zero, I wonder if that's grounds to challenge the constitutionality of the NFA, which is part of the tax code, not the criminal code. Since it would no longer generate revenue but continue to subject citizens to an arbitrary and capricious process, it's arguably unconstitutional. Bingo! That's actually a really good point. I like that. That's actually a really, really good point. Anyway, so that's another one. I mean, the amount of insanity related to this is just insane, frankly. Okay, here's another one. Breaking. This is Gun Owners of America. Let me see if I have any other things on this first. Hold on. That's from yesterday. That's from yesterday. That's from yesterday. That's what we were just talking about. Okay. So I'm just trying to clean this up a little bit so I can find things easier, guys. Sorry. Andrew Clyde's doing a really great job, by the way. Awesome stuff. Okay. Delayed access. Okay. So that's Mike Lee in the Senate sponsoring it. Okay. So this is another thing that came up related to guns, but not the suppressor thing. Breaking. This is from Gun Owners of America, by the by. The House just voted 229 to 193. So some Democrats went along with the Republicans on this. Looks like 14 Democrats. To grant police special nationwide concealed carry freedoms that are still being denied to law-abiding Americans. Last night, Ways and Means GOP voted to protect the NFA gun registration process for suppressor and SBS short barrel guns. Yeah, so basically we got sold out twice here. Here's the thing. People look at this and they say, okay, well, it makes sense for, you'll get liberals, maybe even, some of the people Well, it makes sense for this because, the police, they go through a heavier background check process. So it's reasonable for them to have nationwide concealed carry. It makes sense, right? That makes sense because they go through this. Well, let me let you in on a little secret here. A lot of police officers, and an uncomfortable amount, let me put it that way, really don't know jack about guns. They don't. An uncomfortable amount don't. I'm not going to give you a percentage because, frankly, I don't know. But give you an example. I asked, this was a couple years ago, I asked an officer, I said, hey, how do you feel about the new M&Ps that you guys got issued? This is Washington State Patrol. They had been using HK USPs, which they went from Beretta to that, and then they went over to a Smith & Wesson M&P. And the person said, I don't know, it's fine. I had to train on the push button instead of the push down lever to release the magazine, but it's good. I said, well, do you like it in 40 or would you rather go to 9mm? Because I think they were still in 40s then. Now it's 9mm. And they said, I don't know. I really don't know the difference. I shoot to get my qualification and that's about it. I said, oh, well, is there any other platform you would have preferred? No, like I said, I really don't do a lot with it. And variations on that theme are something I hear a lot. Now, again, not all. And it probably depends too on where you are. That honestly probably would be the case is, where the people that, where the officers are is how much, they enjoy shooting or how much they'll use their gun. But, let me put it this way. Someone who would apply as a civilian for a nationwide concealed carry, chances are that person is going to be better trained in some ways. And again, this isn't tried and true, but I would say generally they're going to be more of a gun enthusiast. They're going to know their gun better that they carry. They're going to be able to speak to what it can and cannot do. They're probably going to be willing to read up on the laws of using the gun, in the areas they're going to go. Generally. Now, again, that's not 100%, but it's more common than you might think. Now, if they wanted to do this nationwide concealed carry, if they wanted to make it to where, yeah, you could do it, but you have to go through this course or you have to do this thing, you have to pass a background check and then you have to take a qualification course, which you have to do every year, right? Chances are nobody's going to have a problem with that. Not really. Now, the ones that will are the people who are say, well, why do I even need a concealed carry permit anyway? It's the Second Amendment. It doesn't say in there, the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, except for the concealed carry permit. Again, they're not wrong. But at the same time, you take your wins where you get them. So if we say, okay, here's the first step, because right now we're down here. The Second Amendment, yeah, it's there, but it's kind of given, basically, how do I put this? It's kind of just, oh, yeah. It's there. So if we can advance it up to here and the crime rate starts to go into the ground, then that's where you argue, hey, by the way, because of this, crime has gone down. So why don't we just do this? Now, you'll get states that'll argue against that and still insist on that. Now, there's 29 states right now that do not require any kind of permit to carry. This nationwide concealed carry would be only in those states like California, New York, that kind of thing, where they have these draconian restrictions. But again, as you go through this and you see not only crime not go up, but go down, at least in terms of, attacks on people. And maybe again, oh gosh, do I really want to attack that person? Because it might be the last thing I do. As you start to see that, well, then that's where you make the argument. And pretty soon you get more and more constitutional carry states. And then something like this is not necessary. So anyway, yeah. I want to hit one more thing before we go. And this one, it's Bob Ferguson. I would talk about David Hogg, but frankly, he drives me nuts. David Hogg's just an idiot. He's a moron. He's an idiot. Let me really quick hit this. So David Hogg, the Democrat National Committee has voted to void and vacate David Hogg's election to vice chair because he supposedly didn't follow their DEI rules or something like that. I don't know. I frankly couldn't care less about it. Chaya posted this at Libs of TikTok, as you can see on the screen there. I really don't care. Camera Hogg's an idiot anyway. It wouldn't surprise me if he got canned, and frankly, it's not going to hurt the Democrats at all not to have him there, or I think it will actually help him because, well, let me put it this way. It will hurt them. Because here's the thing with Hogg. David Hogg is a lot like AOC in that he is trying to push the Democrat Party out of the Stone Ages. But David Hogg also doesn't understand that progressive lunacy, like happened recently here, is what caused the Dems to lose the presidency and the House and the Senate. It's what caused them to lose all this, to get just shellacked in this last election. He doesn't understand that. So it will hurt them in that it's going to eliminate another link to the younger generation. But at the same time, it actually won't hurt them because he is way far on the left. So again, that's about all I'm going to put into that because frankly, like I said, I couldn't care less about Camera Hogg, honestly. Let's see. Joe Rogan, real quick, before we get to Sideshow Bob here. Joe Rogan, it's funny. He has this, he had this guy on. I don't know who the guy is. This guy looks like your stereotypical hippie. He's got long hair. It's in a tied back. He's got a goatee, except for he cut off the mustache. So I guess it's not a Fu Manchu, so to speak. But anyway, he was talking about science versus Christianity. And Rogan's comment was the difference between science. This is apparently a quote from author Terence McKenna. The difference between science and religion is that science only asks you to believe in one miracle, the Big Bang. Okay, that's true. And Rogan's thing is okay, so you're saying that the entire universe that we know now was in the size of the head of a pin. And that it, for some reason we still don't understand, exploded. And now it's everywhere and it's still expanding. Okay, but if space is already there, wouldn't that kind of defeat the purpose? Because then space was already there. So what created space? It's not just about accepting the miracle, it's the Big Bang. It's that everything was there before. Okay, well, what was it? Whereas, again, Christianity is Jesus Christ is the only human, so to speak, in history to beat death. He was God's son. He is God's son. And there we go. And Rogan replies at the end, I'm sticking with Jesus on this one. Jesus makes more sense. He's absolutely right. So anyway, I just found that mildly hilarious. Okay. So, oh boy. There are a lot of rumors now, and it's picking up steam. It started out as one, maybe two things, or two people saying it, and now it's all over the place that Derek Chauvin is going to get pardoned by President Trump. I first saw this, I want to say it was either this morning or yesterday morning. I can't remember real well, but yeah, if that happens, first of all, it's the right thing to do. So I do hope it happens because Chauvin didn't kill George Floyd. He didn't. George Floyd killed himself, for lack of a better word. Anyway, but there will be these ridiculous riots all over. So I'm hoping that these big cities, if this is going to happen, I hope the big cities have already put out calls to pretty much everybody that they can get to come in and do crowd control. Because believe me, the liberals, the nut jobs, the Antifa types, the Black Lives Matter Incorporated types, they are going to be out all over the place, raising hell. So if you are in a big city, if you own a shop and you're able to, might be a good time to, if you hear about this, get down there and protect your shop because it should happen. I hope it happens. I do. I hope that he pardons him. I don't hope the riots happen. Hopefully people will look at the evidence that gets put out and realize that this was a snow job, totally. Anyway, do I think that'll happen? Probably not because, well, lack of logic, but it is what it is. All right. Two more things, and then we'll cut out for this part. The Episcopal Church, I don't know if you guys heard about this, they are denying, they're not going to help the government with these South African asylum seekers, even though they're entering the U.S. legally. Now, the Episcopal Church has been very helpful to the U.S. when it comes to hosting and relocating and finding places for asylum seekers, asylees, if you want to use AOC's terminology, for quite a long time. But it's because these people are white. Now, where did I hear that? That one farmer is killed every 5 minutes in one white farmer is killed, was it every 5 minutes in South Africa, or 5 a day or something like that? It was an insane number. And it's happening, and the government doesn't appear to really give a crap about it. So then you get people like this. This is a complete lunatic nut job who, let's just hear what she says. This is a black woman, probably in her 40s. I'm guessing. I don't know. Let's hear what this genius has to say, shall we?
Good morning. This is for the South Africans who are going to be entering the United States. This is just a public service announcement.
Oh, a PSA.
I just wanted to make you aware that the black people who were students during apartheid, we're grandmas and grandpas now, and we have the ear of Gen Z. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So does this gal sound like she's from South Africa? Doesn't sound like it to me. Either she has she's managed to hide her South African accent, which is tough to do. Elon does a fair job of it, but even he can't. By the way, Elon is South African, in case you didn't know. So during apartheid, okay, so 80s, 90s mostly, part of the 70s maybe in there too. So were you impacted by apartheid? This gal? She's a grandma now, and she has the ear of Gen Z, she says. Again, was she impacted by apartheid directly? Because again, it doesn't seem like she lived over in South Africa. So I'm curious as to what her supposedly skin in the game is here.
One more thing. I also want to let you know that our president, he has Secret Service, and you will not. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
I also want to tell you that black people over here are empowered.
Okay, and?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. These are just public service announcements.
So she's threatening to physically harm these people coming into the U.S. legally. Again, they have temporary protected status. Threatening to harm them. She's never been in South Africa, I'm willing to bet. Hasn't ever even been there, I'm willing to bet. Has never been affected by apartheid directly. She is saying that she's implying that all these people, these farmers, are racist, that they consider black people, the term, this is, I'm guessing the South African term of the N-word. I won't say it starts with a K, I'm guessing. Anyway, but she's assuming that these people all refer to black people as that word. Which to me seems awful stupid to assume that. I highly doubt if they were that way that they would still be around, just for one thing. But how would you know that? Anyway, let's finish this up.
When you get here, sit your ass down and don't touch nothing, because you don't have Secret Service. Okay.
So the one thing she fails to understand is they don't have Secret Service, but they have people around them. And guess what? If they're good people and they make friends with their communities that they enter, they integrate, they assimilate into their community. Okay. They go through the process. Maybe they become citizens, permanent residents, whatever it is. I would do that if I were them. If they do that and they have people that they know and are friends with in the communities they're in, they don't need Secret Service. Because guess what? If someone tries to go after these people, especially if they're in an area that is very heavy on the Second Amendment, which if it were me and I were a South African trying to come, and enter the U.S., that's where I would go, would be to a 2A strong area. Montana, Idaho, especially North Idaho, Eastern Washington, perhaps Eastern Oregon, Wyoming, Utah, that kind of thing, heavy pro 2A states. That's where I would go. Yeah, it's not going to be as warm. No question about that. But South Africa isn't super duper warm like the rest of Africa either, by the way. But again, they're neighbors and they're friends, which, possibly the neighbors could become friends, especially in the distance, will be there for them. So, lady, I would be very, very careful about what you do. If you try and go after these people and you are in an area where they're not going to tolerate this BS, you might get your ass handed to you. Just saying. All right, let's finish up with Sideshow Bob. Oh boy, Sideshow Bob. This guy. He is something, isn't he? All right, Sideshow Bob was busy. He's been busy this week. Let's look at the first thing. Today, this is what he tweeted out on the 12th. Today, I signed the BEAM Act. This bill requires intelligent speed assistance devices for drivers who are found guilty of driving in a dangerous manner above the speed limit. No other family should have to go through what the families with me at this bill signing went through. Grateful to prime sponsor Representative Mary Leavitt for this bill, and to the families who spoke out about their loss of their loved ones so that other Washingtonians could be safer. Okay, so basically it's a control device. What this would do is, it would, if you are, let me see here. This would basically, if you are caught speeding above a certain amount, I think it's 10 miles over, they would put this thing in your car and it would limit your speed. So it's more government control. That's what this is about. It's not about safety. It's not. It is about control. Because here's the thing. If you are speeding, if you are a person who likes to speed, and you get, let's say you're in a hurry, right? And you're on the 90 or the 405 or the 405 or the 5 or whatever, okay? And you get pulled over. You get pulled over and you're doing 15 over or 14 over. So it's not reckless driving, theoretically at least, okay? And you get a ticket. Well, they can put this on there. So now they control your car. They control how fast you can go. This is government overreach in extreme circumstances. And here's the thing. If most of the people this is going to affect are not serial speeders. And even if they are, they probably are in areas where there's not a lot of people. Should they speed? No. Should the government make them not speed? No. They shouldn't. Now, if someone is caught speeding and they get into an accident, that is an add-on. That can cause them to be penalized further than it normally would. That's already there. Speeding is already illegal. This is something that is more about, again, control than anything else. Don't doubt that for 1 second. So that was the first of the Sideshow stupidity. Let's see what else Sideshow did today. Oh, here we go. This is from Katie Davis Court. Washington State Governor Sideshow Bob Ferguson signed a bill into law that allows state officials to enter federally, she said contacted, I think she means contracted, federally contracted ICE detention centers without permission to conduct oversight. State officials are now allowed to arrive unannounced and must be given access to all ICE detention facilities in the state on any given day. The new law took effect Monday. Now, this is in response, I'm willing to bet, to what happened in New Jersey at the, what was it called? The Delaney Center? I don't remember. Essentially, this is ridiculous. And I hope the federal government sues Sideshow Bob and Nick Brown into the next century on this, and that the courts say, nope, not going to happen. Because here's the thing, this is a federal facility. The state has no control over this facility. It is essentially kind of like an embassy in that it's federal soil. If you allow this to happen, you are going to, if this actually happens, you will see literally every Washington politician out there all of a sudden show up at these facilities. It's going to be a security nightmare. It'll be dangerous, not only to the inmates, the residents, if you want to call them that, but to the representatives themselves. Again, this needs to be taken to a court right away. And it needs to be, what's the word for it? There needs to be a hold put on it. Because, again, this is going to get someone killed very badly. So, and not just my opinion on that one. So, all right. That side shows two things. Oh, one breaking thing here talking about ICE. Apparently, and I haven't seen this mentioned anywhere else, so I don't know if this is true or not. This was reported by someone named Retro Coast. Tren de Aragua gang members have taken over an ICE holding facility in McAllen, Texas. Now, for those of you looking at the screen, it's not McAllen, it's McAllen. That's how they pronounce it down there. I don't know. That's just how they pronounce it. So, anywho, I find that interesting. Like I said, I'm going to keep my eyes out for that one. So, all right, folks, this has been segment 2 of the Chris Richman Show for Wednesday, May 14th, 2025. We appreciate you joining us today. Hope to see you tomorrow. And above all, and as always, God bless you.